All right, so Maria, if you could just do me a favor and tell me about what was the problem that you were having before coming to Advantage Health Group.
Sounds good. So it had been going on for about 2 years. I had had a fair amount of like tension and pinching and just like pain in my kind of right neck and upper right back area. I first noticed it starting about 2 years ago, and then I would say it kind of like got increasingly worse over time. I thought it was probably due to a couple things. Like I had had a baby 2 years ago, so I was like hunched over, like nursing, holding the baby. I had had a job, and my desk at the job had a really kind of weird desk, and so my arm was always like this. And then when I left that job back in March, I was kind of thinking that everything would just kind of like fix itself. I was like, okay, I'm not sitting like this all day anymore. I hope it's gonna kind of just like clear up on its own. And it didn't. So then that's when I decided to start seeing Advantage Health Group to try to do something about it, because I realized it was going to be more of a chronic issue.
Yeah. What did that frustration feel like as you were trying to work through that neck and upper back pain?
Yeah, I would say it was a couple things. So one is I had seen chiro, physical therapist. I had done like assisted stretching, deep tissue massage. So I felt like I was always trying to like do things to solve it, and all those things, they would solve it temporarily. Like I would leave a massage feeling great, feeling like all this tension got out, and then it would come back. So that was always frustrating to just be like, this is really a chronic thing that's kind of always coming back. And then just on a day-to-day basis, it was something that, especially near the end when it was like getting really, really bad, I felt like I was always like taking breaks, let me stretch my neck, let me roll on a lacrosse ball, let me try to do all these things to kind of fix it. And it was just like, just kind of zapping your energy when all day you're like so aware of all this pain in your neck, and you're kind of spending your whole day like aware of it and always trying to like get rid of it, and you can never really get rid of it, and that just kind of is like compounding frustration.
And I'm sure it's affecting your business
focus.
Yeah,
it just felt like, right, I'm trying to work, and it's like I'm having to take breaks, I'm trying to play with my kid, I'm having to take breaks, like I'd be like, hang on Amelia, I gotta like roll out my neck, and then she'd try to like grab the lacrosse ball, and it was not that fun.
Incredibly frustrating.
Yeah.
So, Maria, let's just go ahead and move into what was different about Advantage Health Group from all the other providers that you saw.
It was very different from a lot of other providers in a good way. I would say the two things that really stood out to me were, one, just like that kind of first, I guess it was the second appointment after the initial consult, where we did all of the assessments. Like there was just so much measuring and tracking of progress throughout, and it was kind of like fun, because there were things that like because at first it's like you're still feeling the pain a fair amount, but you're like the test numbers start getting better, so it's kind of like it's reassuring. You're like, okay, this is definitely heading on the right track, this is heading somewhere. Like I didn't realize, like I just thought it was pain, like I didn't realize how much it was limiting mobility when we're doing like those chin tucks. I'm like, oh man, I can only get my chin to tuck 10 degrees, like that's really bad. I didn't realize that. And then today it was like improved to 30 degrees, and that's just been so fun to see like the measured improvement over time. So I'd say one, like all the assessments and the numbers and the measurement were really helpful. I would say two, and I think to me it was the bigger, more important thing that was so different, was just like I always had a really good sense of like where we were and where we were heading. Like I feel like in the past when I've seen other chiros or PTs, it's just like you're kind of like coming every week or twice a week, and you're kind of just like, it feels like it's this like path to nowhere. And it's like, so I felt like the team here always did a really good job, like I said, of assessing me, so I kind of understood, here's where we are, here's the number we're trying to get to, here's how it's progressing. But then also just explaining that to me, it was always like, okay, we're here today, we're going to do twice a week for 3 weeks, then we're going to switch to once a week, then once your tests are at this number, we're going to graduate to this. Like I always had a really good sense of like where it was going, and it didn't feel like it was just this kind of like path to nowhere. Like I had to, like I remember leaving my first or second appointment, I was like, okay, in 6 appointments my neck is going to feel amazing, and it's just like so good to kind of know to have like an end in sight.
That's fantastic. Great. Let's go ahead and take us to that moment when you realized that our treatment was actually working to heal your pain that you've been having for 2 years.
So I've been training for a marathon on top of all of this, and which was a good reason that I got my neck healed.
Your first one.
First marathon, yes. So I've done halves before, but this is the first full marathon. And I remember I was out for a long run Saturday morning, and I remember like turning my neck, and I was like, oh my God, my neck doesn't hurt right now. Like I was so used to like running on the weekends, and like that's when you're just like out for a run, like you just start to notice everything, right? And I would be like, I would always notice like this like tightness in my neck, and I remember I was running and I was like, oh my God, my neck doesn't hurt, and I was probably looking like a crazy person, like just turning my neck the whole time. But
that's amazing.
And there's been so many moments since then where I'm like, I'm working at my desk and I'm like, oh my God, my neck doesn't hurt, or I'm playing with my kid, I'm like, my neck doesn't hurt. Like it's amazing all the times that like before it was something I was so aware of on a constant basis, and now I'm like, I barely notice it, if ever. If anything, I'm noticing all the times it doesn't hurt, which is awesome.
That's tremendous.
Yeah.
So Maria, go ahead and tell us what life looks like now that your pain is almost completely healed.
Yes, I'm doing the virtual marathon this weekend. So the first thing I'm doing now that it's healed is running a marathon, and hopefully not flaring it up, but I don't think that that'll happen. No, to me, it's just like, I just feel like I have much more energy now. Like I don't, like it's just, as you can imagine, it's like, when you're waking up and you're like in pain throughout the day, that's kind of like sucking your day, because your day is spent trying to get rid of the pain.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's like, it's not something I notice anymore, which is awesome. So, and yeah, I'm going to run a marathon, hopefully pain-free, at least in my neck. I can't speak for like what my hamstrings are going to feel like by the end of it, but that's a separate issue.
That's tremendous.
Yeah.
Awesome. So pumped about your progress.